The Dodgers Dogs. I'm Casey Porter. I'm so glad that you decided to tune in tonight. Joined as I am each and every week by Chase Whitwiska. We have a fun show for you tonight. We're going to talk all about the Tony Gonsolin situation, the arbitration with him. The Dodgers had 10 players that were eligible for arbitration. They made a deal with 9 of them, Tony Gonsolin being the one exception. Joined by Chase Whitwiska as I am each and every week. We're also going to talk about Eddys Leonard with Gavin Lux. You know, is he the future at shortstop with Jacob Amaya getting shipped off via trade? Miguel Rojas is 34 years old. He's definitely not the long-term future for the Dodgers. So if it's not Gavin Lux, you would think the next one in line would be Eddys Leonard. Good evening, Austin. Thank you for joining us. I also appreciate you joining for the interview that we just got through premiering with Emmett Sheehan. I hope you enjoyed that. But anyways, okay, so Chase, first of all, we're going to talk about the arbitration case with Tony Gonsolin. So go ahead and give me your thoughts there.
You know, I'm kind of surprised because of how high level a guy he was. And I think they will come to a deal eventually. Man, it's just hard because you have so many guys on staff, and I think they were prioritizing guys like Urias and obviously Walker Buehler, guys like that were nothing short of phenomenal last year.
Yeah, right. Okay, so we said the Dodgers had 10 players that were eligible. Here they are: Julio Urias, Walker Buehler, Will Smith. Will Smith was also in his first year of arbitration. Dustin May, Trace Thompson, Evan Phillips, and I believe it was Brusdar Graterol. It's either him or it was Yency Almonte. They reached it via Super 2. Now, so let me go over all the names first. Okay, so you had Brusdar Graterol, Yency Almonte, Caleb Ferguson. Okay, so what happens is an arbitration, if a player is on a 26-man roster for at least 3 years, okay, one service year is 172 days on a 26-man roster. Once a player reaches that 3 years, they become eligible for what's called arbitration, which means that if the club and them don't reach a deal, then it goes to a third-party, 3-person panel. They're called arbiters, the arbitrating panel, and they choose either one side or the other. Do they choose with the players or with the club? Okay, Tony Gonsolin's asking $3.4 million. The Dodgers are offering $3 million. Okay, so what's going to happen is Tony Gonsolin's going to get to make his case for an hour, then the Dodgers will get to rebut that for 30 minutes, and then it'll flip, then the Dodgers will get to make their case, and then Tony Gonsolin and his crew will get to rebut for 30 minutes too. Okay, so here's the deal. Here's some of the facts. Tony Gonsolin made $720,000 last year, which is this year's league minimum, and was just $20,000 above last year's league minimum, and he was an all-star. So I think we can agree, Chase, that he grossly outperformed his pay last year. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah, so his case is going to be, hey, I got way underpaid last year, so even if you think maybe the $3.4 million might be a slight overpay, so what? Because you underpaid so much last year, that it would be worth it. As a matter of fact, his ERA was 2.14, his whip was 0.87, his average against was 172, and his strikeout to walk ratio was 3.4 to 1, and also he was an all-star. Okay, so here's some examples that he's going to use. Of the pitchers that were on the NL All-Star roster last summer, all of them avoided arbitration, and there are 1 year, which Tony Gonsolin is, meaning the first year they're eligible for arbitration, by making deals with their teams, and here's how they came out, okay? 2018, Carlos Rodon, he signed for $2.3 million. 2019, Tyler Anderson, we know him well, the Dodger from last year, he signed for $2.6 in 2019. In 2020, Joe Musgrove, the Padre, he signed for $2.8, and in 2021, Max Fried signed for $3.5. 2022, Corbin Burns signed for $6.5. Obviously, he's fantastic. And then Sandy Alcantara signed the big 5-year, $56 million contract, which is going to avoid arbitration for at least the next 5 years. Okay, so if you look at all those, that kind of sides with the club, but I think where Tony Gonsolin is going to go with this, he's going to go straight to the Max Fried case. Max Fried, if you look at, because the Dodgers are going to claim, well, yeah, you had a great year, but you weren't healthy for the playoffs, so So, you didn't perform real well in the playoffs, and then you haven't been healthy in the past. I believe that other than last year, his highest year of inning total was like 55 innings. Okay, identical. His track record as far as innings thrown is just almost identical to what Max Fried was at when he was ARB1 eligible his first year of arbitration. Max Fried during that first year of arbitration signed for $3.5 million. Guess what Tony Gonsolin's asking for? 3.4, right? So that's the case I think that Tony Gonsolin is using. That's the case he's going to make. The Dodgers are going to say, yeah, you did get underpaid last year, but again, you don't have enough of a track record to warrant the $3.4 million, and then you don't have the postseason success, which Tony Gonsolin has not had a whole lot of postseason success. And so that's going to be their argument. And the thing about this, and this is where we'll get into the discussion, and we'll read some comments here in a minute, arbitration can get kind of ugly. It can hurt some feelings, Chase, because basically it's the club trying to devalue the performance of the player. And so that can hurt the player's feelings. Let me throw my thoughts out here first on that. I don't think that's going to be the case here, because I don't think the Dodgers are going to be devaluing Tony Gonsolin and his contributions and how good he is. I think they're simply going to be making the case that he hasn't been healthy enough to warrant the track record, and to put the track record down to warrant the 3.4. And again, he's under team control until 2026. So if he creates that track record between now and 2026, I think the club can easily go back and pay him, for that track record. So what are your thoughts? And as fans out there, we are reading your comments. So if you have a comment on that, go ahead and leave it, and we'll cover it on the air.
Yeah, man, I'm 100% behind you. I don't think that they're going to devalue him, and I'm honestly, I'm not sure if they wanted to, how they could, anyways. Just because of his performance last year was really, really good. The postseason's been a struggle for him, and obviously there's some health concerns. So I don't think that it's going to be necessarily a hey, you're not worth this amount of money by your performance, but more so, hey, we're worried about your health, and if we invest this amount of money in you and you end up hurt, we're just in the hole,
Yep.
So it's a tough situation. But he's definitely a guy you want to keep around.
And every penny counts, because the Dodgers, as of right now, are over that luxury tax. But if they do decide to deal, say they're not going to, but if they decide to deal like a Blake Trinan or a Daniel Hudson, somebody like that, to try to get under the cap, then every little penny's going to count. So going to be an interesting situation. My gut tells me that the Dodgers are probably going to win this, but that's just a gut. I don't have any insight on that, and I'm probably wrong. So that's my gut on that, though.
Yeah, and I'm right there behind you. I don't think that I don't know how much of a case he can pose, especially if they go at him with his health, his health concerns. I don't think he can do anything but agree. Because it's no player can say, "Well, I promise I'm not going to get hurt," or whatever. Right. And that's where the situation gets a little tough. Yeah,
no doubt. And that's, again, it's going to go, if final arbitration, it goes to the arbitrating panel of 3, and then they either choose the club side or the player side, and then both sides have agreed to that process. So whatever comes down from the judges, that's what you have to live with. And again, here's the key again. I think this is the key, Chase. The Dodgers have team control over Tony Gonsolin till 2026. So even if there is a feeling or two that gets hurt in this process, I think if Gonsolin stays healthy for a couple of years, has postseason success, the Dodgers will make up for it between now and 2026.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. Austin left a comment saying that the aspect of the luxury tax really makes this intriguing, especially if the Dodgers are trying to get under it.
Yeah. And they're going to have to trade somebody to do that.
Yeah.
Who do you think that would be, Austin? I'd be curious who you think. Who will the Dodgers? Who will they part with to? Who will they trade away to get under that luxury tax? I would be curious to get some fans' thoughts as far as who they think that guy would be for the Dodgers to get under, because Miguel Rojas, with I believe his $5 million contract, that through because $5 million is a lot more than what Jacob Amaya was going to make. So you traded Miguel Rojas for Jacob Amaya on the 40-man. So now you're over the cap. So you're gonna have to deal to dump some salary. Do you have any guess who, or just maybe a thought of who you might think that might be, Chase? I don't actually.
I was about to ask you because I have no idea. Especially with them just now going and getting Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah.
I mean that throws a whole nother thing into the equation. So I really don't know.
Yeah, the most logical guy, would be maybe Blake Trinan because of the shoulder injury. The Dodgers don't like dealing with shoulder injuries. He's not going to get to pitch next year. But who's going to take on his salary knowing that he can't pitch all of the next year? That's going to be the problem. Who's going to take on that guy?
Somebody who's desperate.
that can wait a whole year to get him?
Man, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yeah.
So
and he's good.
He is good, and there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Okay, so we just mentioned the Miguel Rojas trade. The Dodgers got him, the 34-year-old, who, as you mentioned last week, I thought I was trumping you, but you mentioned that great play. He went behind the back at third base and saved the Clayton Kershaw no. What year was that? 2014, I believe that was. Okay, boy, 8 years goes fast because that seems like just yesterday, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like too long ago, but then I look back and I'm like, well, it's almost 10 years ago. I was 14 at that time and I'm 23 now. So that's a while ago.
Okay, so we've made our thoughts pretty clear about we are confident in Gavin Lux. We were confident in Jacob Amaya. Okay, but let's say that Gavin Lux doesn't become the future for shortstop for the Dodgers. Okay, so if you're looking inside the system, the next most logical guy, because Leonel Valera, who, by the way, if you look at how he performed at Double-A Tulsa in the second half of the season, it was kind of crazy because he struggled fairly mightily. Austin can attest to this at Great Lakes early in the year. Then he got moved up to Double-A and then just went absolutely crazy in Tulsa offensively. But he was moved on in the offseason. He is no longer in the Dodgers system. So the next man up, Chase, you know who that is?
Who's that?
Eddys Leonard.
Yep.
Okay, and so we are going to break down film of him tonight. We're going to talk all about Eddys Leonard. He is a wonderful young player, and one of those guys that's solid, definitely solid. Also has some explosiveness to him. Very, very, very quick hands. He's very pull happy, which means that he gets the barrel through the baseball. I believe his pull percentage is somewhere over 50%. His batting average with balls in play is over 300. So when he puts the ball in play, he is a very good hitter. I know Austin Brewbreaker got to see him all year long, probably got to see him 50 to 75 times there in Great Lakes. So I'm going to be really, best of luck to Leonel and Washington. Phenomenal guy. I appreciate you saying that, Austin. I didn't realize or didn't actually know where Leonel ended up going. So Washington, phenomenal guy, no doubt about that. Okay, so be interested to get Austin's thoughts on Eddys Leonard. He got to see him up close and personal very many times last year in Great Lakes. You and I will get to see him this year in Tulsa. So very excited about that. So initial thoughts on this before we break down the film.
I think really, really highly of him, man. And like you said, he's one of the most fun guys to watch defensively, and I think that you're going to see his numbers go up even more, especially with that band shift. That's going to play really well into his game. And I can't even imagine how good he's going to do. With all of the, he has his dream is close. Making the big leagues, it's close, and I don't think that he's going to disappoint. I really don't.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get to it. You ready for the feature cut, Chase?
Let's do it.
All right, let's take a trip down on the farm. The first thing we're going to get to, we're going to get comments about the hitting coach at Great Lakes, from the hitting coach at Great Lakes, Dylan Ashotka, on Eddys Leonard. So here's Dylan.
Eddys is another guy, a lot of excitement there. If you make a mistake, he'll make you pay. At the same time, he's dynamic, and he's got really, really just lightning quick hands.
Okay, so here we go. Here's Eddys Leonard, base hit up the middle. Again, his pull percentage, he pulls the ball quite a bit. if you look at his pull percentage, he is over 50%, which your target's somewhere around 40%, but he is able, like there, to go to the opposite field gap. So it's not like it's not something that he can't do, but his hands are so quick. Austin will test this. He's seen this. His hands are so quick like that. Look how quick his hands are, that he is very good at pulling the baseball.
Yeah, he is. And man, look at that swing right there. That's a moonshot.
Lots of power.
I really like his approach. I like the way he swings the bat. He swings it with a purpose, and you see a lot of guys that really, I mean, it seems like they're, just swinging for the fences, but he's one of those guys that kind of accepts his role, in my opinion, and just does jobs just like that one, with a ground ball up the middle to get on base. It's not always about home runs, and I think that he does a really good job of just being him, and helping out his team. That's one of the reasons I like him so much.
Swing reminds me of Trey Turner, and I think that's because of the high release at the end of it. Watch that high release right there, just like Trey Turner. And also, he kind of has that downward path to it, Chase, that we really like. I think this is why you like him so much. He doesn't have that lift in his swing like a lot of young hitters do. So he's a lot flatter coming through the zone, and he finishes higher.
Yeah, don't get me started on that lifting garbage. I can't stand it. I'm sorry. If you've watched one of our podcasts before, you definitely know how I feel about the new style of hitting. It doesn't work. It's stupid.
It works about 1 out of every 8 at bats, and when it does work, it goes about 600 feet.
Yeah, well, for high school guys, it works about 1 out of every 20, and and even then, it's not worth it. It's usually a pop up. Orlando actually said, I don't know why, but his swing reminds me of Trey Turner. It's funny, Casey, that you said that. Super quick hands with underrated pop in his bat. Absolutely. And I think that, if you watch everything from his hands to his hips to his load, I mean, everything, it's very, what's the word?
Compact.
Yes, and it just looks good. It looks natural. It looks athletic, I think, is the word that I'm looking for. And Austin.
Here's him defensively, by the way. Yeah.
Austin said this. He's a very athletic guy, and you guys know how we feel about those guys too. The Dodgers do a really, really good job of just going and getting athletes. Man, they don't just go and get great baseball players. They go and get guys that were successful in high school football or wrestling or basketball. They go after just high quality athletes, and I think, man, that's why they're so successful. Athletes are, they're hard to come by, and so when you can get your hands on them and then get them to specialize in something, it's impressive.
Yeah, there's Kendall Williams right there. He's pretty good too. Here's a field level, and you have Yorbit Vivas at second base, and a lot of these, he's also a big-time prospect. So getting to see Eddys Leonard, Yorbit Vivas up the middle, that combination is pretty awesome, especially when you have the pitching that Great Lakes had. Here's another play from Leonard, how he goes to his right, checks his runner. Pretty good arm right there, wasn't it? He can release it pretty good.
Yeah, it had some zip on it, that's for sure. There's another one that maybe a little underthrown, but it got over there pretty good.
Yeah, here's one you like to see coming in on the ball, moving, throwing on the move. Jacob Amaya was so good at that, but good play there by Eddys Leonard. And, he has every solid tool. I'd be curious, if Gavin Lux, here's a turn. I wanted to show that from Yorbit Vivas, that's a pretty quick turn, pretty quick hand. So, the handwork is there's a boy, look at that power. Do the hands look quick to you?
They look really good. They look really quick. Man, and the one that you guys saw him coming through the ball and making that throw across his body, and unless you've done that, you have no idea how hard that is. That's an extremely impressive play. I mean, that's up there with somebody diving, and it's an extremely hard play to make. And seeing him come through that, and then with the shot to first base too. Yeah. I hate that clip. I wish that guy would have slid.
Yeah.
Gosh dang it.
I like how he stays over the ball too. You know,
Yes.
he reminds me of a guy that's not. Of course, he can hit home runs like that if you throw the ball up in the zone, which that pitch was above the belt and inside. But he's not trying to hit home runs. He's trying to hit line drives.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, he's not one of those guys that believes, you know, that you have to hit a bunch of home runs to be a good and successful hitter and a baseball player. You know, and I've said this time and again, you know, as a pitcher, it's more frustrating for me to give up a double or a, you know, just a shot of a single than it is a home run. You know, yeah. I don't know if that's just me. But yeah, I would rather give up a solo home run than a double in the gap, because that's more of a rally starter in my opinion. You know, it makes guys like him very, very frustrating to pitch to. Austin said Leonard, yeah,
and Vivas. Going to be exciting next year in Tulsa.
Yes. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to watch those guys. We'll definitely have to pull up to a couple games. That's for sure.
Exciting thing about Leonard too, he's from the Dominican Republic, and he's only 22. Okay, he's only 22, so still a young guy and still has a lot of time to develop. And he's going to be 22, 23, and already be in AA, which, you know, for the college guys, a lot of those college guys are 23, 24, 25 still in AA. So that's an exciting aspect to him too, is that he's still young. That's Kyle Hurt on the mound, by the way, through a 91-mile-an-hour slider earlier this year. Fantastic. Okay, 15 home runs for Yorbit Vivas, 783 OPS. This last year he hit 32 doubles. That goes to what you're talking about. He's a gap-to-gap power guy. He hits a ton of doubles. He hit 29 doubles in 2021. So the last 2 years, he has 61 doubles. That's pretty good.
Good Lord. Hey, when did he become a professional?
I was going to look at that, Eddie. You know, sometimes it's hard to tell with those international guys because they're not drafted. They're just selected in the, you know, they sign internationally. So it doesn't always list what year they signed. He was born in 2000. So let me look at game logs. I can tell you here in just a second, Chase.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I was just curious.
His first year was 2018. So he was signed internationally out of the Dominican Republic in 2018. He played that year with the Dominican Summer League. He played that entire year in 18 in the Dominican Summer League. Of course, unfortunately, there is no Venezuelan league. If you're an international player, you have to go to the Dominican now. In 2019, he spent, he was at the complex at the Dodgers. So he spent the entire 2019 at the complex until August. At the end of August, he went to Ogden when Ogden was still the rookie ball team in the Pioneer League. John Littell actually played on that team. You know, John, the Oklahoma State boy.
Yes.
He played. So he played with Eddys on that 2019 team, at least for September of that year. 2020 was canceled. 2021, Eddys Leonard, I'm going to assume, played all of that season at Rancho, of which, no, he actually got moved up in 2021, August 1st. So, no, he got moved, August 1st to Great Lakes in 2021. Then he spent all of last year at Great Lakes in 2022.
Yeah, I think we'll see signs of him in Oklahoma City as well this year. Do
you think he'll jump from AA to AAA?
I think he's got a chance, man. I really like to. I mean, he's a high quality guy. You know, and obviously a lot of it depends on, you know, if injuries occur, which I'm sure they will. I hope they don't. Different positions and all kinds of stuff like that. But he's a high quality player. Like Austin said earlier, you know, he can play 3 positions in the infield and he can play center if you need him to. Mm-hmm. Just an all around heck of an athlete, fun to watch kind of guy. Eddie's really struggled to start the season, which I don't know for sure. But could have been a result of the lockout and him being added to the 40-man.
You know, he was added to the 40-man before last year, and then he hit 263, the 15 home runs. OPS was under 800. So it was a year, I think he would probably be the first one to say it wasn't the exact year that he was looking for. I'm going to cut back to both of us now because we've got about 5 minutes left here in the show to read some comments and get after it from that perspective. But yeah, so it wasn't just an unbelievable year for him. I think he would be the first one to admit that. High quality character, matches the Dodgers culture. The Dodgers, I say it many times, they want you to be a great person first, a great player second. That is not just coach speak. That's not just talk. That is real. So, okay, so our show tonight so far, we've talked about the Tony Gonsolin situation, Eddys Leonard. We got about 5 minutes left. What are some of your final thoughts here, Chase?
He looks like a guy, just watching that video and, seeing him play, he looks like he's a fun guy to be around too. Just a fun guy to have in your dugout, and a guy that, can be serious and be a leader when he needs to, but he also looks like he likes to have a good time. He's pretty flashy, which is fun to watch. A lot of those guys from the Dominican Republic are just flashy dudes, man, and they make things look easy. It's always cool to talk to those guys and, hear some of their stories and things like that. He's got me excited. I'm really excited to watch him in Tulsa and hopefully Oklahoma City some this year too.
Yep. Valerie said definitely a Juan Uribe type guy. I totally agree with that. Definitely gives Juan Uribe vibes. And another comment that Austin made earlier that really resonates and is really makes a whole lot of sense is that it's almost like him and Yorbit Vivas are a package deal almost, because they played together so much. They're going to move up together to Tulsa. So getting to watch both of those guys play up the middle. And also, guess who else was on that Great Lakes team last year, Chase? None other than Max Hewitt, our favorite Oklahoma State Cowboy. He was on that team as well. But, okay, so not only do you get Eddys Leonard, you're going to get Yorbit Vivas with us. Those two are used to playing together a whole lot. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always good to have some consistency. All those guys obviously feel really, really comfortable around each other, and seeing them make plays together and stuff like that, you can tell that there's a lot of chemistry there. And that definitely goes into play, especially as you get into the bigger settings and things like that one guy that you can look over to your right or your left.
No doubt.
See that one guy that's been there with you from the time that you started professional baseball. Obviously that's a really, really cool moment, but it also brings a sense of comfort. I mean, in my opinion, it was hard for me. Just for example, like when I went to college and had a different catcher after, a lot of years, man, it was a hard adjustment. And luckily, you get used to it after a little bit, but it's not anything that you really want to experience, and those guys seem like they're close and really, really comfortable with each other.
Even with the struggle, here's a comment, even with the struggle, he still had a 120 WRC plus with above average power and is extremely versatile and consistent. Really good player, no doubt about that. Okay, so about 3 minutes left here. Final thoughts on the Tony Gonsolin situation, Chase?
Like I said, I think that they're going to come to a deal at the end of the day. You don't
think they're going to make it to ARB? You think they're going to make a deal before they get to ARB?
I hope they do, just because I don't want to see them butt heads, and I don't want to see I don't want to see a big deal happen over $400,000. And I say that like it's a little amount of money, but to the Dodgers, who, like I mentioned before, are one of the most, they're one of the richest organizations in all of baseball and all the professional sports, really. What's a couple $100,000 more?
And $400,000 to you and I and everybody else on this show, it's a heck of a lot of money, but you have to talk in relative terms. $400,000 to an organization like the Dodgers is not a whole lot of money.
That's exactly right.
Is it worth ruffling feathers, even if you feel like you're overpaying just a touch? Over $400,000, again, probably not, but again, also, you have them under team control until 2026, and so even if that is the case and a feeling or two, like I said earlier, gets hurt, I think you still will make it up. The Dodgers will in the future if Tony Gonsolin can stay healthy. So, hey, that's going to do it. For anything else you want to say before we get out of here, Chase?
Appreciate all you guys joining and come back when we go live again.
Yep, no doubt about it. Hey, just want to remind you to head on over to DodgersDaily.net. That's where we have all of our feature articles on all of our players and our Dodgers Daily stories. Also, if you like this kind of content, go ahead and leave a comment. I know we had this chat, but leave a comment, because if you do that, that helps this video get seen. It helps Dodgers Daily grow. Also, share this video. Tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily, so Dodgers Daily can keep growing, Dodgers Dogs can keep growing, and so Chase and I can keep providing you content like this in the future. As always, thanks for tuning in, and go Dodgers.